Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for catching up with us and spending some time with us today. So today's webinar is all about powering up council communications with marketing automation. So we've got a number of things ready for you today, and we're excited to share a few ideas with you. And please enjoy your participation as well. So let's jump in and have a look at our agenda. This is a little bit about Marketing Cube and what we do, and helping you understand our role in the ecosystem, I suppose, of technology and marketing and consulting. And it's our belief that as there appears to be increasing customer expectations, we need to be smarter in relation to the way that we deliver our messages and what it is we're trying to talk to people about. In this case, it's constituents or people within the communities that you're serving. And those messages have to be timely, they have to be relevant, and they have to connect and engage. And so that's why we make this point that, we have to be able to talk where your customers are. It could be social, it could be email, it could be a whole range of different locations. You have to do it at the right moment and with messages that resonate. If the messages don't resonate, you're going to have a really hard time. Now, because the experience you can deliver to your customers is so critical, the key thing there is that will be your differentiator. So if you can deliver a message that resonates, that's on time, it's delivered at the right moment, it's super relevant, naturally going to have a much better result. And that's what we're all about. So who are we? So we're delighted to have Rima from Victoria University with us today, Ken from Oracle Australia. Adrian Jones is our CEO here at Marketing Cube, and my name is Derek, and I'm your host for today, and I look after our marketing and customer success. So at that point, what I'd like to do is just quickly hand over to Adrian, and then we'll jump in and keep going, and then we'll hear from Ken. And then finally, we'll hear from Rima, and she's going to do a little bit of chatting. We're going to have a chat with Rima, learn some insight and different things that she's doing at Victoria University. So, Adrian.
For us I think our kind of expectation really is that meaningful customer experiences don't happen just by chance. It takes a little work behind the scenes. And in this case, we're talking about sort of digital communications. And so it really takes the right blend of customer insights and creativity, a bit of marketing strategy, and underpinned by technology to really make that happen. So we'll go through basically intelligent kind of marketing automation. So Ken's going to talk to you a little bit about that and how that applies to councils. We're then going to talk about how we can unleash the power of marketing automation. Derek's going to dive in and give us a really quick look at Eloqua as a marketing automation platform. And we're then going to jump into Rima, who's going to talk through a little bit about how marketing automation works at Victoria University and how she's actually made how all of this really comes to life and what it means in kind of in a live context. And then back to Ken for a bit of the future of marketing automation and looking, just at what's happening, because it's a really fast-moving space, digital communications. And so we'll have a quick look at what the future might hold. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for some Q&A. Cool. All right. So Ken, I think it's over to you. A look at what does intelligent marketing automation mean for councils?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian, and thanks, Derek, for hosting the event today. I want to welcome everyone to the webinar. So hopefully there's some value in what we're going to talk about today, and then let's get into it. Next slide, please. So I guess just have that build out for me, Derek. One of the things I wanted to highlight there is that Oracle, as a technology vendor, has been involved in the councils probably for over 20 years. But way back when we first started, we weren't really relevant. We were pretty expensive with some of our applications at e-business suite or PeopleSoft. But during that time, cloud economics, the introduction of our cloud suite, cloud applications, has allowed it to be much more affordable for the city councils. And as such, probably more so in the last 7-8 years, we started to engage councils and started to build out that growing community, all sitting on our cloud platform. And one of the things we noticed is that there was a shift at the time. Obviously, there was the legacy vendors who perhaps hadn't innovated. They're well suited for the council in terms of at that day and time, but things have changed. The council expectations have changed, technology changed. And so there wasn't really a way for them to move forward and start to deliver some of these digital services or take advantage of some of those capabilities that the cloud applications were bringing to market. So such, and I think one of the other major changes that we saw happening was that there's a shift from moving from a right-centric council to more of a customer-centric, I guess, the way they delivered service, the way they communicate. And so this presented a lot of challenges because there was, as you know, as being councils, you're quite multifaceted, having more than 100 different types of services available to the community, many different stakeholders, and the data sitting in all different systems. So how do you go ahead and communicate? And so we just move forward, communicate and meet those expectations of what the citizens were expecting today. And part of those expectations are driven primarily at the private sector. You deal with Uber, you deal with your banks, and it's all quite digital and quite easy, and it's quite personalized. And so this is where we saw an opportunity for Oracle in the local government space, was to how do we help them become much more, I guess, relevant with the messaging, much more personalized, and really try to simplify that whole wrangling of data and build that real true customer 360. And when you use that in communications, I think it starts to deliver much more effective communications. We're talking about Eloqua, or Oracle Marketing Cloud, which is a product that Oracle acquired years ago and now bringing into the fold into their suite of applications. And some of the areas, I guess, these are just capabilities, so I'm not going to go too much deep into it, but it's a marketing automation platform, similar to what councils may be using today, like MailChimp or some of those other email marketing tools. But we're talking about data management, segmenting and targeting, and all the elements that you would probably think that come into a marketing automation platform. But probably where we differ is just the ability to scale across the entire council. I think there's within the councils, there's lots of small teams communicating with different bodies of communities, or different bodies or segments of contacts. But how does it span across that? And hopefully we'll talk on some of those things, some of those challenges today, and have you go away thinking about, well, what else can we do, or how can we move forward with this? We'll also talk about, obviously, Rima coming on board, and how, given that they're on a small team, they're able to deliver personalization at scale to quite a number of people out in the local and international community. And they're leveraging the capabilities within this tool. And we'll talk on some of the other things and how that can enable the small teams to be able to deliver that personalization at scale. And some of the things we talk about, in overcoming some of those challenges, what if you were able to provide contextual experiences using some of the real-time behaviors? Some of those, as I said, they're multifaceted. They could be a pet owner paying their rates, but also joining the leisure classes at the pool. So how do you start to take those experiences, engagements in different parts of the council and deliver that into contextual communication that's personal? And it's talked about that, engaging the community at scale. How do we take all those different sources of information and tie that back to the individual so that when we are communicating to them, it's relevant? And what about proactive communications? We kind of survived COVID. We sat through some of these bushfires that are happening right now, floods. So how do you proactively communicate out to the community to keep them informed and safe? And I guess the other side is, there's one of the things we've noticed in councils is that they're using different products to do different things, but perhaps we could do that through a single platform. We're talking about leveraging email communications, whether it's transactional, whether it's outreach, communication, awareness, events, or even incorporate SMS into that whole communication process, or even putting push notifications through an app if you're using an app. But ultimately, we have this modern best practice built into the technology that really makes it easier to adopt, take advantage of these capabilities, and be able to deliver that personalization at scale. And we'll talk about some of those shortly.
It was interesting there when you talked about the different types of email platforms. And what I've seen being one of the challenges is, in some organizations, they'll end up with, one department might have one subscription to one email package, then another department has got another subscription, maybe to the same one, or maybe even a completely different one. So then when you start to talk about opt-in permissions and preferences being captured, you get this really disjointed experience. Yeah, so rolling things into that single platform certainly has major CX benefits, but also commercial benefits as well. All right, Adrian, over to you.
Yeah, great. So thanks, Ken. I just wanted to break this down a little bit more. I think I was thinking about the Eloqua is a marketing automation platform, and some of the things that our customers do with that as a platform, and then thinking about how that could apply to councils and the communications that they present. And I think the first thing that kind of really struck me was just improving customers' experience. So, I think if we look at the communications that are sent out and how they're communicated and what they can say, the question is, can we do that more effectively? And can we make those communications more personalized and more relevant based on what we already know, or based on what that person has asked for? So I think that's kind of the first thing. It's just about being able to personalize and make them more relevant. So, is it regional? Is it city? Is it particularly about property, or is it particularly about a kind of service? Is it a service on a certain day of the week? Just to reduce questions, but make people more aware of the services that are being provided. And then I think the next kind of level up from that is to add value with sort of alerts and reminders. It could be an alert or reminder about an event. It could be about something that's happening that you need to get a communication out really quickly about, or something that's changed that you need to make people aware of. And a combination of different channels and communications, then it's just about how quickly can you get that communication out and get it to the right people at the right time effectively. So having those people that have expressed an interest in those types of alerts, having some things pre-built, and then being able to sort of have those communications go out really enhances essentially that customer experience. And then I think the other thing is helping people just to know where to go for help. So I think, is there a better way than searching or trying to find your way through the website, or calling and potentially waiting for a call back or a response? How do we help people know where to go to for the kind of support that they might be looking for? So can we enable that process? So there were the sorts of the key things that sort of struck me. Maybe you've got others in terms of things that you'd really like to improve in your customer experience that we could also explore. And then I think the second major aspect is really doing more with less. And for me, this is really about the automation part of marketing automation. And so that's just being able to trigger automated emails and alerts. So you don't have to it's not like list and campaign. It's how do we set something up that runs automatically? So is there a new resident? And if there is a new resident and they say they're new, then, what is there something that we could do to set up to welcome them and to let them know kind of how things work? And so can we set up sort of automated campaigns, to do that? And then also where you are sending similar campaigns frequently, can we use templates to sort of make that less of a starting from scratch each time process, and more of a, here's something that, that's already partially prepared that we can do. That's much easier, just to reduce the time and the effort. And then the third major element, I think, is just data-driven insight. So it's really understanding what's working, what's not working, understanding kind of what's important to people and what's resonating, and then understanding if you need to use other channels, or how do you improve those communications so that you're getting better engagement from the campaigns that you're sending. So just really quickly, they break down into a few kind of major aspects of the platform. And I'm going to ask Derek to jump in and just really quickly show us some of these, because I think it's better to see it live. But, the key things I think are having these design templates that you can have pre-built, that you can just drop content into, ready to go, get them out fast, know that they're on brand, they're all exactly what you want, and that you've pre-thought about some of the types of content or things that you might need, and that's all set and ready to go, and you can use that each time. The next element is just around this builder, so being able to use the campaign canvas, as we call it, to construct these flows. So it's not necessarily just one email, it could be email and an SMS, or a few emails that you can build and just construct that. And then, you'll know that people will go through this little mini journey of education, or a regular newsletter or communication. The next is we'll be having a look at what's working and what's not. So however you measure yourselves in terms of kind of engagement or performance, we're able to see that, and you can see who's open, who's clicked through, who's hit a landing page, who's submitted a form, who's coming to an event, who isn't. And then understand kind of what you need to do as a result to kind of drive that effectiveness. So just really being able to really simply see what's going on. And then the last thing I was going to touch on was just being able to really group all that together and get some insights, because there might be a group of the community that you're really engaged with and another group that you're not. So the question is, how do you reach those people if you're not reaching them kind of through current communications? How do you make them aware? And this can be specific around a particular service, or it could be more broadly. But it's just how you want to measure it. So Derek, maybe do you want to have a quick dive into the platform and show us? I've called it a speed demo, but just quick look around.
This is Eloqua. When you log into Eloqua, this is where you kind of begin life, so to speak, and it just gives you a high-level view of what's happening, who's been doing what, which assets are in play, etc. Now, all of this information is live and fresh, and it's constantly refreshing. The website activity is kind of interesting. This large group of new contacts, you could be in that list just quietly if you're on the call today. So thank you for participating. All right, let's jump in and have a look at the campaign canvas. Okay, so the campaign canvas is an area of Eloqua where we actually design the experience that we want to deliver to people. And so what we did is we've kind of mocked up an experience and how you might do it. So the trigger is always going to be the beginning part, which in Eloqua speak is your segment. And so think of that as a list, but not a static list. Okay, so to Adrian's point, this is more about the dynamic arrival of people coming into the platform. And I was sitting here thinking earlier, how's that going to work? Rates. I've literally just moved from Cogra to Cogra in Sydney from Arncliffe, and it's just kind of one city away, so to speak. But of course, it's new rates and that kind of stuff. So my new council will know me because they'll have rate details about me. So there's a trigger there at least. And so that's the fun part. That's the beginning. So we get them in, and then maybe we start to look at some communications that it's a welcome from the mayor, potentially Lord Mayor or President, whomever it might be. And then maybe we have an email that outlines kind of council rates. And I thought it was probably a good idea to mix in some local facilities as well, so they see the value for their dollar spend with their rates. And then maybe we go to arts and culture and explain what's available within the local community. And then what we can do is have a little bit of a pause and have a look and start to do some evaluation. We've sent 3 emails. Have they actually engaged with any of those emails? Have they at least opened them? Now, if they haven't opened them, then we can sort of head off to the left, which you can see with a little arrow heading over here, where maybe we look at some sort of a re-engagement email. So the purpose of this email now, we need to do something different because the first 3 haven't kind of worked. So maybe it's about asking them, what would you like to hear about? Tell us what interests you. What would you like to understand about the local community? Now, if they are engaged, that's great. Let's keep going. And maybe we move on to multicultural event calendars, and then we move on to youth and sporting facilities. And you can kind of see I've got left that hanging because it could just keep going, really. The re-engagement concept over here enables you to do a little bit of thinking. And so we send out the email, and you can see these wait elements. And so these wait elements, what they enable you to do is to wait for a period of time. You can literally wait hours or 1 hour right up to several months if you need to. It all depends on the flow of the experience that you're delivering, whatever's most appropriate. Then we can have a look and see, well, did they actually share their interests? So in this email communication, we have asked them a specific question to share what they're interested in. And if they haven't done that either, maybe we try a bit of a multi-channel approach, right? And do we have a mobile number? Could we send them an SMS, maybe with a link that sends them to that form where they could fill in and tell us what they're interested in? Now, if that still does, if you don't have a mobile, well, that's fine. Then you're going to have to go back to email again, etc. Or you send the SMS, and then we maybe take them on their merry way. So, sorry, scroll too fast there. And so this is just, it's up to your imagination, really. There's very few limits, really, in relation to what you do here. Councils, and I'm a ratepayer, so I know what I'd love to hear from in relation to my local council. But that's just one experience. Now, that can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. If you're doing emergency alerts, again, one of the points that Adrian talked about, you could have that completely templated. You could have it templated right down to all you have to do is just build the email. So you have the audience. This is everybody that wants an alert on bushfire information, etc. Bang, it's all in there, and off that goes. That could take you no more than 5 or 10 minutes to get out the door. So let's move across. So the next one is segments. So we don't really use the term lists in Eloqua. We talk more about segments. And segments essentially help you arrive at a group of people. So what I've tried to do here is playing with a few filters, identify some new people. And so you can see the first thing you'll notice is there's no SQL, there's no code. This is plain language like you and I would have over a coffee. And what I'm looking for is contacts who have been created within the last 7 days. And so I've come up with 28. And some of you will be in that 28, by the way. For privacy reasons, I won't click on here and show view contacts, but yeah, some of you will be in that list. Then maybe you marry that with information of some people who have looked at specific website pages. Now, these can be website pages from your CMS, or they could be website pages from Eloqua landing pages. That's another way to do it. And then you may also want to look at people who have opened specific emails. In this case, I've chosen any just to get a fun number, but you could really get that tailored right down, and you can see all of the various options over here on the right-hand side in both the positive and the negative. So there's multiple ways that's where basically your campaign begins, is understanding the audience and who's there. Now, in order to make this real, this is a real email that you're looking at. This is a real email from Marketing Cube to our clients. And what it does, it provides an update to them with platform changes to the Eloqua platform. Now, the reason I've chosen this one is because this one is pretty heavily templated from my point of view. So when it comes time to build this one, it begins live as a template. And so I come in here, this is my template library, and there's my important update template, and I open that up and don't need to worry about that. And I come in, and so what I've got now is just a real template. So as you can see, I didn't send it out with 3 banners, but what we decided to do was have 3 banners that we would just kind of rotate through the various communications to maintain some consistency, but at the same time keep it a bit more interesting. So what I would do next time is come in here, basically just delete the ones that I don't want. It's so much easier to delete what you don't want than to remember to put things in, right? So then you'll see it's crazy dates like 2035. So it's clear to me that I obviously need to make those changes. And I just come in here and just start typing. So again, there's no coding, etc., involved in this process. And the responsive nature of the emails is absolute. So everything you produce is responsive out of the box without the need for any more code. And so these are then just different sections. So these are obviously just placeholders. So what I can do there is just have, as long as I've got my artwork in place, see if I can, no, we're not, we're 24, aren't we? And see if I can find something. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's for you guys. Here we go. This one will work. And so there we go. So there's some artwork that I created earlier. Again, this is all real. And so again, it's just all placeholders. So it sits there, it's ready for me to go. And this is also really good if you have people in the team who are not necessarily hardcore email builders and are scared of these things. I mean, this is pretty simple. I reckon you could get a volunteer teenager to come in after school and help you put this together. It's not that hard. So now there is also some dynamic content in there, which is the other thing that we wanted to show you. So dynamic content is the ability to present different information to people based on known data that you have about them, okay? Now, you all would have experienced this a little bit today because looking at who's joined us, you're from all over the country. Actually, we have Queensland, WA, Tasmania, and New South Wales. And so you would have got a reminder email that would have been quite specific about either Melbourne or Hobart, etc. If I didn't have your state information, though, you would have seen in the reminder email the times for, I think, 4 locations, sort of covering the different time zones across the country. So that's just one really subtle way that you can use your own data, your first-party data, to present some unique experiences to people. Think about newsletters and people's ability to express their preferences. I'm into arts, I'm into sports, I don't care about the swimming pool, blah, blah, blah. So you can use those interests to then reflect. I think everybody cares about a swimming pool at the moment, given the temperatures we have. But you can use that expressed information and preferences to control what you present then in a newsletter. So it really tailors those things for people. All right. So the other one was dashboards. So Adrian wanted to give you a little bit of an idea. So there's multiple ways that you can look at the data within Eloqua, and it typically is either at a campaign level. Now, a campaign in Eloqua can consist of a single communication, or it can be many, many communications and rolled up into a single dashboard. What we're looking at here is just the last 2 weeks, and looking at inbound and outbound type of communications. So I can see where we've been pushing out significant numbers of emails, and then I can see the inbound activity as a result of that. And so inbound is people doing things, people opening, clicking, submitting forms, reaching landing pages, etc. And then below that again is all the individual campaigns from within the last 2 weeks that are impacting those dashboard, those pretty graphs that you're seeing up above. There's so much of this, and in a speed demo, Adrian, we can't do it all, right? So, but this just gives you an idea. This is what's available, and there's actually more than this. There's a lot more than this. And then the last one, which is probably, it's ironic that we should finish here. This is really the core part of the Eloqua database, because this is where you find contacts, okay? And a contact in Eloqua is at the heart of the database. And so this is what it looks like when we start to dive in and have a look at an individual. So I'm going to choose Adrian Jones because he's on the call and we don't have to worry about privacy. So what are you looking at? You're looking at his individual subscriptions and those things that he's expressed interest in. We can see campaigns that he's been specifically involved in the last 30 days, and then also narrow it right down to individual activities. So let's have a look and see if he's clicked on anything. Phew, okay, he has, good. So in the last week, you can see Adrian has clicked on a few things here. There's scoring, we have different scoring in place. There was another thing Adrian mentioned. So different ways to do the scoring. Here we start to get a bit more techie and gnarly, but this I think would probably be an area for councils that would be of interest, which is custom data objects. So think about connecting to, actually Ken, the other platforms that these councils are running from an Oracle point of view. Are these platforms like Service Cloud, Sales Cloud?
Service Cloud, yeah. In fact, we have one of the councils on that are using both.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's through here then at an individual level that we can look into Service Cloud. We can see maybe service requests, or there's a whole range. Again, there's no limit really. It's just to let you know that it is available and we can see it. And because we can see it, then we can segment by it, we can personalize by it, we can do a whole range of different things with it. Now, the other fun part, if just from a visual point of view, and this is where I'll finish. I don't know how speed, I feel like I'm going a million miles an hour here, but let's have a look. So this is, and this is actually, this piece here that you're looking at can actually be embedded, I believe, within the Service Cloud platform. And it really is designed, this is not really designed for marketers, this is really designed for sales and service people. And it's a nice visual interface where, okay, so here's the webinar reminder that Adrian got. And so I can see here, it was actually sent specifically to Adrian. I can preview it. I can see exactly what he saw. I can also see that he was sent an SMS for today as well. And there's other reminders, which he seemed to have opened, which is great. Isn't it great when the boss actually opens the emails? That's good. So, and you can see clicking behavior and you can get right into it. So yeah, we can see here you actually added it to your calendar. Fantastic. This is good. I should do this more often. So, but you can imagine as a service person making an outbound call, potentially, they can come here and they can be so much more informed before they pick up the phone. It only takes them less than 60 seconds to have a quick glance at this, and they can have a far more informed conversation with the person before they reach out to them. Yeah, so it's far more interesting to listen to Rima because she's a customer. So I'll hand over to Rima and Adrian.
Excellent. Thanks, Derek. And hi, Rima. Thanks so much again for joining us today. And so Rima's the senior marketing, she runs marketing automation at Victoria University. So super excited to hear about how BU's using Eloqua and using marketing automation to kind of really help. But yeah, could you maybe start with just giving us a little bit of just an overview of BU and your marketing automation team? Awesome.
Sure, no problem. Thank you so much, team, for inviting me. I just wanted to do a really quick acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the ancestors, elders, and families of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of university land. We also acknowledge all traditional owners of country throughout Victoria and pay our respect to their culture and their elders past, present and future. So I just wanted to do that really quick acknowledgement for you all. So I'm from Victoria University. As you can see, we are a very unique university. Our students are the heart of everything that we do. Since 1916, VU has proudly been the door open for opportunity, open to all who want to make a meaningful difference in the world. So we offer TAFE and higher ed courses. We celebrate individuality and unique ways of our students to see the world, and we welcome all into our diverse community. We've got smaller class sizes, and we offer personalised support and greater flexibility in our innovative way of working. And we actually, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but we're the first university in Australia and the largest in the world to teach an award-winning learning model, which is called the VU Block model. So I encourage you to jump on our website and learn about that. It's a great way of learning. And just a couple of key selling points that are just call-outs for our university. 51% of our students are the first in their family to go to university. We're ranked top 2% worldwide, and we offer multiple pathways and entries for universities, which makes us really, really accessible. So, check out our website, vu.edu.au, if you have an interest in learning about Victoria University.
Right, so you've got a lot to communicate to those students or prospective students, Rima. So there's sounds like plenty there. So, how big's your team and how do you structure things internally?
Yeah, sure. So, marketing automation is really important for our team, and it's really helped to shape Victoria University and our marketing strategy. So as you all know, marketing automation is designed to automate, to streamline and manage marketing tasks, and that's really important to us and really critical. And the reason being is because we're a very small team. So Ken did mention earlier, we're a very small team. I say we're small, but we're mighty. We've got lots and lots of work to do, and we have a really large audience that we manage as well. So we sit within the brand and marketing department of the university, and we've got a critical role in generating leads for the university and converting those leads to applications and enrollment. So it's very directly affects our profit. And our team manages a large audience. So we manage students that are local students, so school leavers. We manage non-school leavers, teachers and career practitioners. And as Derek mentioned earlier, we do also engage with international students from inquiry all the way through to enrolment. And another key stakeholder are our international agents. So agents are really important for international students. They support them to apply and study at a university. So marketing automation is, it's really, really important to our team because we kind of see Eloqua as our teammate that's just sitting in the corner of our little corner of the office.
So I know how busy you are and how busy your team is, but yeah, because I'll ask you a really tricky question. But yeah, in sort of in a few minutes, are you able to kind of articulate, how does Eloqua really help you to do more with a small team? So I mean, how does it really facilitate that process or help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of see Eloqua as the engine in our factory. We're kind of putting work on the conveyor belt that's going down and passing through, and Eloqua is kind of the factory that manages that work for us. So it's absolutely helped us to do more with less, because automating all of that work and all of that campaign management has meant that we can spend more time to be really strategic and also to nurture the leads that really are quality and a real purpose. And it takes me back to, I know you mentioned MailChimp earlier, 10 years ago, when VU was using a very simple system that didn't have automation, and I would spend, it would be 15 to 20 hours a week building emails, up to 40 different variations of emails. We understood personalization then, but we just didn't have the tool that could help us to automate that. It was such a time waste. It was very monotonous. There was a lot of room for error, and the data was really messy. But Eloqua has been such a significant driver in our success to be able to alleviate that. within universities, resourcing and budget, as many businesses, it's hard, it's tough, but we've got very high expectations to turn over work. And Eloqua's really helped us to be able to push that work through in an automated kind of way.
And then I think that there are also some things that you do each year. I mean, you obviously have intakes and, but a good one is an open day, right? Where you run this big event and you invite everybody to come on campus and have a look around. And then there's all the communications kind of around that. But largely, are you able to repurpose and reuse some of that work each year, or is it a start from scratch?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Open Day is a perfect example. It's one of our hugest events. It happens every year. And in the past, it would be a rinse and repeat. And we do that in some sense. But what we've been able to do is really look at the learnings and what we've learned from the year before, and optimize our campaigns to do better. So it's not building from the ground, but I guess it's looking at the foundations and giving it a new paint, or removing the paint and stripping back. We've become very insights driven, our team, and it's been a real strategic change in our team. We would normally just push the work through and let it run, but now we do stop, we pause, we look at the way it's running, and if it's not running well, then we'll do things differently. And with Open Day, an example of that was last year we built the campaign. We had a try at sending an SMS as one of the communications to drive registrations, and it drove 200% more registrations for us, which was amazing. So what we did is we said, well, that's working. Let's not send another email. The next communication that we do, we'll try SMS again. So I think Eloqua has really helped us to understand how our audience behaves, and for us to drive our communications based on their behavior and how they interact with the communications that we send.
Yeah. I mean, SMS seems to get an amazing cut through, and I know nobody likes very few like the SMSs that you get from, I don't know, the broad send SMSs marketing something to you. But when you ask for a reminder about something, or it's a reminder that's timely, like an event, I mean, everyone gets their dental appointment reminders and their hairdresser appointment reminders, whatever. But but it's just even just having that type of capability, if you ask for it, can really help to drive, as you said, drive registration and help people just to know where to go, just genuinely helpful information at the right time. So I know you've done so much work with integration and bringing data in, and so how are you able to use that to deliver a more personalized experience to students? I mean, you've got Service Cloud, you've got Eloqua. Are you bringing that information in? Are you able to use it for your marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's very common to see in universities. It's quite a fragmented kind of architecture. We've got lots of different systems. Some of them talk to each other. Some of them don't like each other. But through the work that we're doing with Marketing Cube and through Eloqua, we've been able to connect some of those systems into our system, which means that we've just got the power to share and integrate that data. There's a lot of duplication that happens with communication. So being able to connect those pieces together means that we're not over exhausting some of our communication to our students. But personalization is really critical for us. We're dealing with Gen Zennials, which are a very interesting audience, and they can see through I won't say the word, but they can see through it very easily. So personalization is just so important for our audience. And I just wanted to really touch on just the dynamic and personalized content that we've built over the last 12 months has really kind of lifted our journeys with our students. So, we've got students that are interested in particular areas of interest. Perhaps it's business, and they might be interested in studying next week. With that information, we're able to pass that student over to a contact center who's going to call them within 24 hours. They'll receive an email that says, hey, Bob, it's great to see that you're interested in business. Hear from the student, and we share testimonials from real students that have studied business. And we've been able to be really, really personalized with the data that we capture from our students, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think universities generally are on this journey. I know VU's pushing this so hard towards the student centricity and away from, being course centric and faculty centric and, you want to, tell us what you want to do and we can point you in the right direction. It's more, just so much more about student centricity. So I think being able to take that data, ingest that data, and then use that to be more relevant, obviously, is paying dividends, and you're getting a lot more engagement. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else in terms of data and insights that you're doing that you'd like to share? Or
yeah, I think one thing that I've spoken about quite a lot with everyone is around feeling really empowered about the work that you do. I think, I think back 12 months ago when we were doing this work, and like I said, we'd get briefs and they'd come in, we'd set and forget. But now what we're doing is we're actually setting up these campaigns, stopping and spending more time in reflection and in the post-implementation phase, which means that we're learning more about our audience. And it really helps you to feel empowered about the work that you do, because you actually understand your audience, what they like, what they don't like. And it's a great way to be able to divert your attention to the areas that are really important. And what we've seen over the last 24 months has been significant in regards to our growth and our leads and our conversion as well, because we've just taken some really basic, simple steps to be able to create a really powerful campaign plan, which is really cool. And it's easy, the way that it's set up. Like was mentioned earlier, you can get your teenage daughter to come in and set it up for you, and it would be pretty simple. So we're really, really empowered about the work that we do, which is really cool.
That's really amazing, and I think it's really reflected in the team as well, right? In terms of how they're approaching things and the level of that they're driving things themselves as well to be able to kind of reach their audiences and improve their campaigns. So that's really cool. And thank you, Rima. Thank you so much. Really helpful. Yeah, very insightful. So Ken, I think over to you. I think you want to talk a little bit about where and I mentioned earlier, this is a kind of a fast-paced, fast-moving kind of environment. But where is this all heading, and what's Oracle doing to keep us kind of ahead of the curve?
Yeah. Good question, or good point. I think obviously it's a journey. If we just move on to the next slide, and might even just skip this one. This is more around what we're doing in the council space. So, but I guess how do we taking that concept, do more or less? You hear it all the time, but when you find a way to do more with less, it really is. There's a lot of value in that, and so I think leveraging what's there, but what's also coming. I think for some of the one of the councils that's currently using Eloqua now in their council. But also, where's it all heading? And obviously, you would be hearing a lot around Gen AI coming out. Everyone's conversations. So I guess there's a couple of just an example, a guided campaign. So being able to follow the bouncing ball, so to speak, to really spin up some pretty complex, either simple or even some complex campaigns, whether it's over a long period of time or whether it's an event coming up. Councils running lots of events. They all have a lot of different services they're offering community, and being able to cross-pollinate those services can really be done easily. And so you can keep the same team, but you really start to get some sophistication on this. And when you get more sophisticated, you start to collect more data points. And in doing so, you can start being more proactive and prescriptive. And so if we just move on to the next slide, some things where it's start to align it to, well, what are you trying to do? What is your outcome you're trying to deliver? And start working the campaigns back that way. You don't need a marketing expert. In fact, I'd probably pose a question to Rima about what sort of skills does your team have to be able to do this, some of the sophistication? Is it how much is in the product, or how much is the knowledge? So I'll be interested in that, and maybe have time at the end to touch on that. But ultimately, this is best practice built into it. These are used by large organizations across all sorts of industries. And so this has been built into the application. So, we talk about hyper-targeted campaigns or audiences or segmentations. As mentioned earlier, councils deliver so many different services to so many different stakeholders in the community. They're often dealing with multiple generations, so not just the Gen Zennials, I think you called it, Reva, but they are dealing with even the baby boomers, and so they're kind of quite a wide spectrum. So being able to target them based on what their demographic is is engaging with, whether we're combining those additional sources of information. It's all built into that campaign and made very easy, right? Now, Gen AI, what does this mean? We hear about it, and it's not just about writing poems or doing some deep fake images. From a business context, Oracle's been involved with AI for quite some time, but it's all in the business context. They're using large language models that are trained to the applications. And in particular, I guess some of the areas to think about is or where the productivity is going to come from. And we're talking significant productivity using AI when done in the right context and in the course of right control and security. But content generation, so being able to automatically draft these emails, of course, you'd have the ability to fine tune them and tweak them, course correct them. But being able to draft certain communications based on the campaign you're looking to run, so some of that personalization and moving them into different segments based on what they've done elsewhere in the council in terms of engagement. So there's really some nifty things happening, even from a service point of view, being able to take a look at some of the complaints that have been held in the past, or maybe some of the applications they filled in again for the council, and being able to summarize that. So when the call center person's coming on board, they'll be able to see a combination of the service engagement, but also the communication they've been getting from marketing. So it's really, really cool stuff coming down, and all designed really to deliver that productivity and more sophistication and more personalization. From a local government, and Oracle's kind of gone down these industry paths. So this, with respect to the use cases within government, local government, even state government, just some examples here. Where do you start? And I know councils are doing this. They're communicating, they're sending emails, they're sending SMSs, but typically from different systems. They have this social platform. So there's quite a spectrum where you could be. What it's probably worth doing, and we have the likes of Marketing Cube on here, who are really designed to help assess where you are on that journey in terms of, because one of the things is you don't know what you don't know, but you know what you need to do. And so I would definitely reach out to Marketing Cube to have that conversation, saying, all right, we think we're here. Where do we sit on this whole maturity cycle? And then how do we start then taking up and leveraging the capabilities available, but also meeting those expectations and delivering real results like increasing the participation across all the council services, so you know which one to keep going, which ones to keep funding, which one there's no interest in. Using SMS to remind and prompt those filling out a permit application to fill in the information that's missing, to speed up that start and stop the clock scenario that they're measured on. So there's no bad place to start except start somewhere and use someone like Marketing Cube to help. Probably also, we have universities on here, Vic Uni. In fact, probably about 75% of the universities are using some of the Oracle technology that we talked about. And they've kind of done a good job in terms of because it's been highly competitive. They've had to have that personalization and communication right, because they are dealing with a very, digital aware audience. So look to them. They're doing some great things. Also, even in the private sector. So we're happy to help bring in some of these scenarios and in conjunction with Marketing Cube, who do have customers in other areas, really reach out to them and how to get started and where to from here. It doesn't have to happen overnight, but you can get to that personalization at scale that we've been talking about. And I'll leave it there. I'll open up some questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Rima. That was fantastic. We appreciate you walking us through those.
I just have a question for Rima. What sort of skill set does your team have? Obviously they probably wear multiple hats and have multiple skills, but which ones are, to be able to leverage the capabilities, which one do you see?
Yeah, sure. So I've got 3 team members that are marketing automation specialists. They come from marketing backgrounds, but in regards to using tools, I've got a couple of staff that have never used marketing tools. And so they've been able to get the training and support to be able to confidently use the tools. So we do have a senior staff member who's got some experience with a previous marketing tool, but the other 2 have learned everything on the job, and they've been able to build from beginning to end campaign segmentation, pull out email analysis and really understand the data. So I'd say quite limited marketing automation tool experience, but they've been able to learn that all on the job.
That's good. So you don't have to be a marketing scientist to be able to use this. Actually, maybe, and we had this conversation earlier, so I'm going to pose another question if there isn't any other question, Derek. But given councils are multilingual, some of the inner city councils are dealing with significant, up to 20 different languages as a mother tongue, and as we saw in COVID, some of the council regions during COVID were missing out on some important messages. And I know you would have done, as you target international students. Is there anything you're doing around that language or multilingual scenario, or start thinking about it?
Yeah, so we actually ran for the first time a campaign last year that was targeted at parents whose first language was not English. And it was targeting parents around understanding VTAC and the application system for their children. We were approached by staff members saying that we had a group of parents who are really struggling with understanding the information that's shared on the VTAC website. So we took that opportunity. We created in-language emails. We sent email invitations out to a group of parents, and we pre-recorded webinars online. And we sent that invitation out. And because Eloqua is integrated with Zoom, we actually were able to very easily send that communication out to parents. We had staff and students available online to speak in language as well. So it's absolutely powerful tool to be able to share in language. And that we were expecting 20 to show up to that event, and we had 50. So we were really, really, really happy with the result for that one. Yeah.
Just on that point, probably just from a slightly geeky technology point of view, Eloqua is available. The interface of Eloqua that you and I experienced with the file menu and so on and so forth, that's driven by the language you select in your browser. And so the total number of languages, I think, is up to like 120 or something. So if you've got people in council or at university and your staff, Rima, who maybe Vietnamese is their first language, or Persian, or whatever the case may be, if they change their browser, they can then have a complete Vietnamese on-screen language experience. So in a diverse team, that can be quite helpful. And obviously the content, the actual email content itself, Eloqua can obviously deliver that in Arabic, English, whatever, Latin languages, so on and so forth. So you kind of got everything you need to do it. You just need the human. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If there are no other questions, Rima, again, thank you so much for making some time. We really appreciate it. Ken, thank you again. It's always good to have Oracle join us and go through some of these things and get a bit of insight as to what's coming. And of course, Adrian, thank you for making some time.